The last round that saved Marcus. Marcus Cole grew up on the east side of Detroit, in a neighborhood where the streetlights retired early and kids learned to fight before they learned to read. His father, a factory worker, used to say, "Son, life will hit you harder than any man. But if you learn how to stand back up, you will survive anything." Marcus didn't understand those words until the day he lost his father to a late night shift accident. At 14, the world hit him for the first time and hit him hard. One rainy afternoon, Marcus wandered into an old boxing gym to escape the cold. The air smelled of sweat, rubbers, and dreams people were too scared to say out loud. Coach Ramirez, a retired Marine with a voice like gravel, watched Marcus shadowbox out of boredom. "Kid," Ramirez said, "you ever think of fighting for real?" From that day, Marcus showed up every evening after school. He trained with anger at first, anger at life, at poverty, at the cards he had been dealt. But over time, anger turned into discipline, and discipline turned into skill. By 20, Marcus Cole was undefeated in the amateur circuit. Reporters called him the Detroit Hammer. He had a right hook that could fold a man in half, and a calmness in the ring that came from surviving storms far worse than punches. When he finally turned to pro, he bought a small apartment for his mother and promised her, "I will make you proud. Ma, I will fight until the world knows our name."
Ma, I will fight till the world knows our name.
But destiny isn't always kind. During the biggest match of his early career, Marcus tore a ligament in his left knee. The doctors told him he might never fight again.
Fight again.
And overnight, sponsorships vanished. Managers stopped calling him and the world moved on. For months, Marcus battled depression. He felt like he lost more than a fight. He had lost himself. One night, sitting alone in the gym, Coach Ramirez approached him. "You are not done," the coach said. "Champions aren't made in the ring. They are made in moments like this."
This is where we begin. Step into the ring.
Marcus
face your
trained
truth.
harder than ever before. Physical therapy became a battlefield, and every step felt like a jab from life itself. But he fought through it. After 2 years out of the ring, he made his return, not to cheers, but to doubt. Critics said he was too slow, too injured, too forgotten. But they were wrong. His comeback fight was against a reigning champion, a 6 feet 5 inches tall monster named Terence, the Mountain Bridge. Before the match, Marcus whispered to himself,
This is for
This is for
Mom,
Dad.
and this is
This
for
is
me.
for Mom. This is for me. The bell rang. Briggs came in strong. Every blows, ruthless pressure, but Marcus absorbed it all. In the 5th round, Briggs landed a punch that sent Marcus to the canvas. The crowd gasped. Time slowed. Marcus heard his father's voice. "Stand back up, son." He rose at the count of 9. In the 7th round, Marcus saw an opening. Just 1 second, but enough. He unleashed a right hook with every ounce of pain, hope, and memory inside him. Bridge hit the floor. The referee counted to 10. Detroit had a new world champion. Marcus Cole didn't just win a title. He proved to millions watching that your past doesn't define you, and every setback is just a setup for a stronger comeback. When he had the belt in his hands, he looked up to the sky and said, "I stood back up, Dad." When Marcus stepped out of the ring that night, championship belt on his shoulder, he thought the roar of the crowd would stay with him forever. But fame is loud only for a moment. The morning after the fight, Marcus sat alone in his hotel room. No cameras, no chants. Just the quiet hums of the air condition and the ache in his knuckles. He realized something. Winning the championship wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a new fight, a fight for purpose. Marcus flew back to Detroit to surprise his mother. When she opened the door and saw that belt, she cried like she had been holding her tears for years. But what touched Marcus wasn't the victory. It was seeing kids in his old neighborhood running around mimicking his knockout punch, shouting, "I am Marcus Cole, I am the Hammer." For the first time, he felt like more than a fighter. He felt like a symbol. Using his entire fight pursuit, Marcus bought his father's old abandoned factory building and transformed it into a huge training center. He didn't build it to find the next champion. He built it to save the next kid who needed hope the way he once did. He hired Coach Ramirez as head trainer. Their rules was simple. No one get turned away. Soon, the academy wasn't just filled with fighters, it was filled with homework tables, free meals, and a sense of family the neighborhood had been missing for years. One evening, Marcus received a visit from Darrell Tornado Hayes, a childhood bully turned street gang lieutenant. Darrell came not to fight, but to ask, "Teach my little brother, don't let him become me." Marcus shook his hand and said, "Everyone gets a second round, man." That moment changed the community. Rivals became allies, and violence around the area dropped dramatically. Word spreads about what Marcus was doing. A filmmaker approached him for a documentary titled "Beyond the Last Round." It premiered at film festivals and instantly drew international attention. Marcus wasn't just a boxer anymore. He was a mentor, a teacher, a symbol of resilience. Promoters tried to tempt him back into the ring with multi-million-dollar contracts. But Marcus always said, "My biggest fight isn't inside the ring anymore. It is out here." Still, rumors swirled. Could the champion return for one final fight? Marcus never answered. He only smiled. Years later, Marcus had a son. When the boy turned 5, Marcus gave him a pair of tiny gloves, not to make him a fighter, but to teach him discipline, respect, and heart. His son asked, "Daddy, are you the strongest boxer ever?" Marcus laughed and said, "No, but I am strong enough to fight for what matters." By the time Marcus was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame, he wasn't remembered just as the Detroit Hammer. He was remembered as the fighter who never stopped fighting. A man who turned his greatest victory into a lifetime of giving, building, and inspiring.